Hello everyone, welcome back once again. I'm Nicodemus King. Today is February the 24th of 2023. So of course, I didn't see much happen yesterday, at least not that I saw on my feed. Couldn't really pay attention to my feed yesterday. We wound up having some things happen around the house, and I couldn't really pay attention. And yesterday was a bummer day. I don't know what it was. It was a hard-working bummer day. I spent most of my day doing mandatory, what do you want to call it? Training for the company. You know, all the what do you call it? It's the regulatory, you know, every year it happens every year. You got to do the same, like 5 or 6, you know, training sessions on how to be a good employee and how to take care of the customers, and you know, the equality trainings, and you know, everything else, all that stuff. So you had to do it every year. So I did all of it in one day. It took me like 2 hours. Mostly because the whole day just was, I don't know, just somewhere around like 10 o'clock, it just started just being a bummer. Just the whole day, I just felt really down. So, but then after that, yeah, I couldn't keep up with current events. I didn't really see anything anyways, so I don't know. It's like I said, that could very well be something happening in the background. You never know. You never know anymore. Then again, it could have been nothing. You know, could have been that they didn't do anything. Maybe there's some other numerology that we're missing. Who knows? That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. It would be one of those things, though. The mirror image, the 3/22/2023. That could be a thing. You never know. I always say, no matter what, keep your eyes and ears open. Like I said, 9/11 wasn't a thing until it happened. And when it happened, that's whenever we found out that 9/11 was always a thing. We just never knew. We didn't know until it happened. And then we saw, oh my God, this has been there forever. And then once we saw 9/11 was there, we started seeing, hey, all this other stuff has been there all this time too. So don't be discouraged and dismayed and think, oh no, all the numerology is garbage now. Blah, 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 blah. That's what people say. It's like, no. Don't be discouraged and dismayed because you just didn't get one day. It's not like I called like the rapture or anything. I'm saying that there are days that they use that, whether something happens or not, doesn't mean that it won't happen next year. Doesn't mean that it's not the inverse of it. Like I said, 3/22 is still, you know, it's just backwards 2/23. You never know. So, I don't know. I didn't see much. Didn't happen. Maybe this year they flipped the script on us. Who knows? Of course, then again, like I said, there's so much other numerology that we just don't know about, that you don't know. You can't tell. So keep that one in mind. I was going to say something else and I completely forgot it. So anyways, today we're going to read Ecclesiastes, not Jeremiah, Ecclesiastes 7, because it is a Friday. Because I said I wanted to get through Ecclesiastes, because I read the first one and I said, you know what, we should probably keep going through it. I kind of pre-read through this as I was letting the computer letting the mouse that runs the computer warm up. And it reads like Proverbs, just a series of like fortune cookie-esque, kind of teachings, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. And of course it would, if this is Solomon, because Solomon, from what they tell us, Solomon wrote the majority of the Proverbs, so he would, of course, possibly have written this as well. You never know. So it does come down to that kind of Proverbs-esque, teachings. Every verse is its own contained, little lesson that you need to know. So it gets like that, and you can get stuck on one verse, and you could sit there and roll around in your head and try to figure out the meaning of it. And sometimes it can get like that if you don't get it straight out. It happens to me. It happens to me a lot sometimes. And what I do is, if I can't figure it out, I just leave it alone. I leave it alone. I might write it down somewhere, just put it on a little post-it note, put it off to the side, leave it alone, and you come back to it, maybe just happen upon it, and you can really stop and look at it and say, well, hey, this is this. That's what this means, because sometimes you can't get it right now, Maybe it might come back to you later. Maybe it might not come back to you at all. Maybe the Most High just doesn't want you to have that right then. And that's fine. I am one of those that thinks, even though others will probably disagree, I'm the one of those that thinks that not every single thing that is written in the Bible needs to be known right then and there. It is good to have a majority of the understanding, but you don't have to have it all right that second. Father will teach you lessons day by day and let you know that this is what you need to understand today. This is what you need to understand tomorrow. But we should always be in God's Word. Or at least try our best to. This world does its best to pull us away from God's Word in every single way possible, whether it's by our own hand or not, that we fall into it. This world does our best to pull us out of it. So, with all that being said, Ecclesiastes chapter 7, it's not that long, but we'll read this. We'll find whatever the Father's word is today that he needs us to hear. After yesterday, I could definitely use it. Yeah, I just don't know what it was yesterday. It just, the whole day just bummed me out. And it was, the more I tried to come out of it, it just seemed like the more that I fell into it. Yeah, it's just one of those days where you just couldn't find the edge. You just couldn't find whatever it was that would pull you out. Even hanging out with my granddaughter and having our little mystery session at lunch, I couldn't. She wanted to do a thing where she was a detective in a police station, and she asked me if I had something missing. And I had a lot of answers I could have said. I really did. At the time, I was just so just tragically bummed out. I had a lot I could have said, but I told her I'm missing my car keys. I wasn't, but I told her I was missing my car keys, and so she had me draw up pictures of my keys, and then we posted it around the house so that anybody that saw my keys, like missing posters. And then we went around the house looking for clues with her little camera. She's got this little camera that she takes pictures. So we were around the house and we're taking pictures and trying to find them. And she made me retrace my steps. And I went step by step until I eventually I went back to the place where I put my keys. And her eyes just lit up. Her eyes just absolutely, I loved it. It was so great. I don't know why I couldn't enjoy that yesterday, but today it's just really awesome that I could have had that moment. But yeah, it was good. Let's go ahead and read Ecclesiastes chapter 7. A good name is better than precious ointments, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. And immediately there's a pilcrow at verse 2. A good name is better than precious ointment, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. A good name. I want to see. It just means name, reputation. A good reputation is better than precious ointments, and the day of death than the day of one's birth. Think about that for a second. I've talked about before the whole birthday thing. I know people don't want to hear that. Oh, you want to take away Christmas, you want to take away Easter, you want to take away Halloween. Now you want to take away the birthdays. Well, when it comes to this world, the day of death being better than the day of one's birth, you're getting out of this evil place, this nightmare, and moving into something better. Or worse, depending on how the Father wills it. So, my thought process, at least for the majority of my life, has always been, what doesn't matter? That I was more than ready to be separated from this world. I for the longest time, because I had started realizing that it's not even worth it. Everything you do just to build up wealth, just to build up stuff, just to build up all of this, it just doesn't seem like it means anything. Now, of course, back then, I didn't have a basis of anything that would happen after my life. I just wanted to get out of this life. Now I understand, though, that coming out of this life, you're leaving evil, you're leaving darkness, you're leaving misery and pain and suffering, and what you do in this world to help others, this good name, this good reputation, is what helps you get through. Those that live through life and collect all the wealth, collect all the power, all the fame, all the fortune, all the whatever, and die, they die with nothing. They die with absolutely nothing. They have nothing. That's why they fear death so much. People, you can tell the people that are really trapped in this world, that really want to hold on to this world, they will do everything in their power possible to stay in this world. They will pay hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in order to fight back the aging process, in order to fight back death, in order to just exist in the world just a little bit longer, just to have another year, just one more year, 10 more years, 20 more years, however long it is. And when money can't buy what they need, well, they will steamroll right over you. Everything they can, and they will keep all of their wealth, all of their power, all of their fame, whatever it is. They will keep it all to themselves and not give anything to anybody, because they know that the more wealth they have, the more or the longer they will get to exist in this world, because they don't believe that anything's out there. I've met and talked to so many people that have told me they don't believe anything's on the other side of this, so they're going to enjoy every single second possible. And if you ask them, well, what if there is something on the other side? They can't even fathom that, because they've wasted so much time here, and they want to keep wasting their time here. Those who are friends of this world are enemies of the Father. I just saw that this morning. They are enemies of God. So it is a good thing to help. It is a good thing to warn people. It is a good thing to have fellowship and brotherhood and, whatever else, with the people of this world, to love the people of this world while you can. But to be in love with this world, so much so that you would rather be here than in the next life, it is better the day of death than the day of one's birth. And of course, like I said, that completely destroys the birthday mythology that, we're supposed to celebrate days of birth into this world. Satanists celebrate birthdays. It even says it in their satanic Bible that if there was any one holiday that you should truly follow after, it would be one's own birthday. And I've already said that even the practices we do for birthdays, blowing out the candles, making wishes, the whole thing, making a cake, it's witchcraft. We know nothing. We were brought into this world in darkness, and we don't know a damn thing. And everything that is in this world is only here to trick us and manipulate us. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. Just things to keep in mind. I'm not trying to tear anybody down for the things that they do, and I'm not trying to take anything away from anybody. My biggest thing, more than anything else, is the things that you do, you should probably know where they come from. And if you want to keep doing them, hey, that's on you. That's your business. That's fine with me. I can't force you to do something. I can't force you not to do something. I can tell you what I see and what I hear, but you have to come to terms with that. Just know that there's so many lies. Don't listen to me either. I don't want to steer anybody astray either. It's all darkness and vanity as far as I'm concerned. Verse 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men, and the living will lay it to his heart. Sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Let's try it again. The house of the wise is in the house of the mourning, but the house of fools is in the house of mirth. It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. For as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. This also is vanity. The house of the fools. It is, what was that again? It is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of gas stations. Anyways. Back up to verse 2. It is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men. Because again, to know that somebody has gone into a place better than this. Especially, I'm sorry. Especially if it is between the two, the house of mourning and the house of feasting. Going to a house of feasting means that you are taking in of this world. Part of the lesson of fasting is that you separate yourself from this world. That you sacrifice taking in so that you can cleanse yourself. I don't do as much as I used to. I used to do it a lot. I don't fast as much as I used to because it's not, because I just don't. Let's just put it that way. I need to. I get it. When I was fasting, I was doing so much better. I need to get back on it, but we have, again, it is this world as it pulls you down into the world's problems, you miss some things. You kind of fall away from certain practices. That's, again, I say that 2022, especially for us, was the year of setbacks. We have had to double down and focus on work and dealing with too much personal dramas in our lives. We've lost a step. I admit that. I absolutely do. It was, it seemed like it was a lot easier a couple years back. But that's the world. The world is bound and determined to drag us down. And I have done as much as possible to get us back on track. But it is better to go to the house of mourning than to go to the house of feasting, for that is the end of all men. And the living will lay it to his heart. That right there says to me exactly what I was saying before. That the living, the people of this world, and this may not be what this actually means, but to me, the living will lay it to his heart that that's the end of men. They will do whatever possible to either work to that end, to get that good reputation, so that on the other side of death, there will be something better, or you will go to that house of feasting, where you will work to keep your body alive here, your health alive here, your wealth, power, fame, whatever it is. Because you know that on the other side of that, the other side of that wall, the other side of death, there is nothing for you. Even the people that believe in reincarnation, they still go out of their way because they think that what they have in this world is a step up from what they had before. At least most of them do. They think that they are either stepping up or they are stepping down. So they are building their wealth building their lives, hoping that that's the thing that, for whatever reason, offsets them in the next world. I don't know. I've met so many people like that. I was trying to think of a perfect example, but there is no perfect example. I've met people like that, though, where they've told me that, I was poor, I was a nobody in a previous life. I'm something better now, so I'm going to enjoy it every day possible. YOLO, one of those types of things. And you just... But it works for everybody else, too, Atheists, what do they have to look forward to? They have nothing. Once they die, they die. I was there. I believed it, too. I believed that once you die, you die. It took me a long time to figure out that, no, there's something else going on here. What does Satanists have to look forward to? I mean, really? You really truly think that the father of darkness, the father of lies, is telling you the truth? You want to be a full-out Satanist and you think you can believe somebody called the father of lies? You are out of your mind. But really, what do they have to look forward to? The living will lay it into his heart. Will lay it in his heart. Both ways. You're either working towards helping people in this world, loving people in this world, so that the Father will set aside a mansion for you after you die. Or you're doing every bit of this for yourself just to keep going because you know there's nothing there. There is no place for you. It's tragic, man. It's really tragic for all those people that just won't hear it. It's extremely tragic. Verse 3, sorrow is better than laughter, for by the sadness of the countenance the heart is made better. And remember, wisdom increases sorrow. The heart of the wise is in the house of mourning, but the heart of fools is in the house of mirth. Because again, they are doing everything they can to make themselves happy in this world. For those that are looking towards the Father, trying to find His way, that happiness will come by an eternal life, walking in peace and love. Something better than this world could ever possibly give you. Verse 5, it is better to hear the rebuke of the wise than for a man to hear the song of fools. Which, that goes back to if a fellow brother... What is the exact line? If a fellow brother tries to rebuke you, something like if a brother tries to rebuke you, then they're trying to do something good for you, but you should listen to them. If you choose not to listen to them, you're a fool. Something like that. I cannot remember the exact way that line went. Not right off the top of my head. Not right now. Again, I will probably completely remember it like, noon or something. I'll be like, oh, that's what it was. And then verse 6, for as the crackling of thorns under a pot, so is the laughter of the fool. It all means nothing. This also is vanity. Verse 7, surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the hearts. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirits is better than the proud in spirits. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? For thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. I got a little messed up. I got a little tripped up on that one. All right, back up to 7. Yes, there are a lot of pilcrows in this one, actually. Believe it or not. Except for the next section. Okay. Let's back up to 7. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad, and a gift destroyeth the heart. Let's make sure this is what we're talking about here. Surely oppression, extortion, injury, gain by extortion, fraud. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. Wise man to boast. Wait a minute. Let's make sure this word's what we think it is. Mad is not crazy this time. It means to boast. To be foolish. This actually also says to give in marriage. That's funny. To be boastful. There is also to act madly like a madman. Surely oppression maketh a wise man mad. Crazy. Or surely oppression maketh a wise man to be boastful. It could go both ways. And a gift destroyeth the hearts. I like that the first meaning for heart is the inner man. That's good. And a gift destroyeth the heart, destroyeth the inner man. A gift. What's the line? They become lovers of themselves, and they became boastful, proud, all that stuff, but then they also became lovers of gifts, lovers of giving things, of giving or receiving instead of giving. Something like that. For a gift destroyeth the inner man, destroyeth the heart. If you wanted to take one away, that's one. That's some contemplation right there. 8. Better is the end of a thing than the beginning thereof, and the patient in spirit is better than the proud in spirit. Of course, pride goeth before the fall, and a haughty mind leadeth to destruction. Be not hasty in thy spirit to be angry, for anger resteth in the bosom of fools. Hate leads to anger. No, wait. Fear leads to hate. Hate it leads to anger. Anger leads to suffering. I think that's what it was, wasn't it? Or is it? Or fear leads to anger. Anger leads to hate. Hate leads to suffering. There you go. Say not thou, verse 10, say not thou, what is the cause that the former days were better than these? What is the cause that the former days were better than these? I'm looking this one up too. So, what is the cause that the days that came before us were better than these? Which sadly I've done a lot, especially lately. I've been doing a lot. I've been doing a lot of retrospection. And I know that you can't go back and change it. I think back on some really good times, and I think back on some really evil times, some really dark, evil times. And I know that there were good times, you know. There were times where, especially before I was awakened to the lies of this world, that I look back on and I think, they say that ignorance is bliss. It's interesting that wisdom is sorrow and ignorance is bliss. But I look back at that and I think, going back, if it were possible, could I do it? Could I go back to that point and be happy with the knowledge that I have now? Could I be happy living in that past? And I can't. It would constantly be an understanding of things are going to turn out this way. I can't go back to the 80s. Let's just say I can't go back to 1984 or whenever I was, 7, 8? I can't go back there and play with my toys and watch all the great movies of the 80s and without understanding that in 30, 40 years that the current world would be taking all those things I loved and flipping it on its head just to suit some agenda to push a certain ideology on us all. I can't go back to 1990 where I was just turning into a teenager, coming out of the 80s, coming into this new understanding of the 90s. I couldn't do that without thinking that everything that was there would be flipped on its head. I can't go into 95 without thinking that in just 6 years somebody's going to be destroying the trade towers, and everything that we know will be tracked, traced, and manipulated from that point on. That it would take 20 years from that point for them to really dig in with this surveillance system. I couldn't be going into the 2000s without understanding that they would be setting up wireless communications that could quite possibly be destroying our bodies as we speak. I couldn't go into the 2000s period without understanding that from that point, everything starts sliding. It starts sliding down and becoming darker and more disturbing. I couldn't enjoy it. I really couldn't, because I would know that just 10, 20 years away from whatever point I would pick that I could go back to, that everything would just be falling apart. That it would just start becoming completely different. Now we had a time between, let's say, 2000, between maybe 2000, 2010, 2012, where it just seemed like everything was normal. I mean, there was some ups and downs for me personally, but you kind of got that feeling that this is kind of the way it's going to be, and everything's going to, it's going to be fair. There were some serious problems happening. I think 2008 kind of burst everybody's literal and physical bubbles, I guess you could say. But then it was after that, it just seemed like it was all downhill. It just slid really, really fast, straight downhill. And it's like everything just started ramping up. All this just darkness, and it is this darkness. I don't want to say it's just pure evil. It's just this oppressive darkness of the world, where once you started really understanding the truth of things, that wisdom came in. Everything became bleak. And it just seems like it got to a point to where there wasn't really any hope to pull out of it. And then even worse, it's like the world just flipped itself on its head. Everything turned upside down. Good for evil, evil for good. The Bible tells you this. And I can't go back to any point. I can remember those points, and I could think, man, I think I was doing pretty good back then. But then it just comes back into my head that no, you were ignorant. You were one of the ignorant masses that didn't know any better. This evil has always been there. It's just that it didn't start showing its head until they pulled off the greatest evil satanic ritual in the world. And once that happened, then it just exploded. Evil snowballs consistently and constantly until it stopped. And what really got that ball, what kicked that ball rolling pretty fast was 9/11, 2001. That was when pure evil started. And we have slipped further and further. And I say it is because good people, not only good Christians, but just people in general who have any concept of what is right and what is good, they will not speak up. They will not hear the truth. They will not know the truth. And they will do everything in their power, even if they know the truth. This is what gets me. Even if they know the truth and have understanding of the truth, they may not be Christian. They may not be Bible believers. They may just be atheists. I don't care, whatever. There are still those out there that, they care. They want to try to make something better. It's not what God wants, but whatever, they want to try to make something better. But even they won't hear any truth that you have to say, because they are still fighting for this world. Even they will mock and scoff and ridicule anything you have to say about the evil of this world, because they live and exist in this world. They want to keep it, so they won't hear it. So they won't, even though something inside of them wants to say, hey, stop, wait, maybe kids shouldn't be learning anything about, sex in schools, or, hey, stop, wait, maybe, such and such, this shouldn't be happening like this. They won't speak up. I'm seeing a lot more of it lately, but the majority of them won't speak up. I'm seeing the normies. It's amazing. Guys that I don't know how I got onto it. I don't know how YouTube put me onto watching guys talking about action figures. It's good background noise. It really is good background noise to just hear guys talk about toys. It is what it is. Sometimes you just need to have something on the background while you're working. And guys that talk about toys, I don't know what it is. It works for me. So I've been letting it go. But even the normies, and I've been saying this before, are starting to wake up. To hear the normies start just casually spout off conspiracy theorist stuff, you're like, what is this? What is... There are people waking up to it, but they don't want to push it, It's like they'll get to a certain point, but then they'll bring it back down. It's because people are still too afraid to speak up. Because this world, this culture has been driven to the point to where everything you say and do, you have to worry if it's going to get you canceled, or if it's going to get you banned, or if you're going to get you something. Even I self-censor myself. If I said everything I wanted to say, you would never hear my voice again. So we find ways around it. Even though I'll tell you what, there's a couple videos that I look at and I'm like, man, that really should have been pulled by now. And it hasn't, which makes me wonder what's going on. Maybe they're trying to trick me into speaking out more so that they can catch me a second time. I don't know, but it's I'm trying to think of something good to say. I really can't think of anything good to say. Going back to it, though. Going back to what it said, though. What is the cause that the former days were better than these? Say not thou. Do not go back to it, for thou dost not inquire wisely concerning this. We know where we came from. We know how it got to this point. We don't know all the details, but we understand enough that it's time to look forward. We know things were better in the past. We know things were better not even 40 years ago. We have this understanding. But it's not good for us to look back. Definitely not good for us to look back and be angry about it. It's time to look forward and to move forward and to try to do something that will help us moving forward. Now, if I can just put that into practice, which I do, but like I said, I did ever so often I'll think back and I'll be like, man, but the Bible just told me I have to stop doing it. So I will work on that. Chapter 11, or verse 11. Verse 11. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and by it there is profit to them that see the sun. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense. But the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? In the day of prosperity be joy, but in the day of adversity consider. God also hath set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man that prolongeth his life in his wickedness. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Be not overmuch wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? It is good that thou shouldest take hold of this. Yea, also from this withdraw not thine hand. For he that feareth God shall come forth of them all. Wisdom straiteneth the wise more than 10 mighty men which are in the city. For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not. Also take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou... Let me try that one again. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hath cursed others. A lot of interesting things going on there. Let's take it slow. So back up to verse 11. Wisdom is good with an inheritance, and by it there is profit to them that see the sun. Wisdom is good with an inheritance. It is always good to get wisdom. See, with an inheritance, you gain something from your parents, from your from your mother and your father. Wisdom is good. It comes with that inheritance. And it is profit for them to see the sun, that are able to see the next day. Okay, I can get that. For wisdom is a defense, and money is a defense, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. You can use wisdom as a defense, and you can buy a defense as well with money, but the excellency of knowledge is that wisdom giveth life to them that have it. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? And if you've ever really gone outside and stopped and really looked at the world, especially if it's flat, or especially since it's flat, and you've understood the concept of how the clock works, how the sun and the moon will spin above the clock, how the stars would spin above the clock. If you understand a dome, possibly glass, possibly metal, I don't know, I'm not going to speculate. If you understand what the firmament is and how that works, and how a dome over top of the earth would work, and how the stars would be manipulated inside of a curved prism, and how the sun and the moon would work, and how the rays of the sun, or how the look of the sun, gets bigger and gets smaller by the horizon, how these things work on a curved glass dome. And how they count, how the sun counts the days, the moon counts the months, and how it all circles around. To understand that really lets you understand just how amazing God is. I don't contemplate it as much as I used to. There used to be times where I used to go out out back of the house, the old house where we used to live, whenever I used to let the dogs out. And I do it here sometimes too. I actually do it more at night, because where we moved to, we don't have as much light pollution, and I can actually see the stars again, which is amazing. But you go out and just look up and kind of understand it. You can't understand everything. You can get ideas and concepts, but to get how it all works, how the clock moves, how it flows together, it's pretty damn amazing. Consider the work of God, for who can make that straight which he hath made crooked? And 14, in the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity consider, God also set the one over against the other, to the end that man should find nothing after him. In the day of prosperity be joyful, but in the day of adversity considered that God was the one that did all of this. That he's the one that can take away just as easily as he gave. He's the one that can give just as easily as he took away. 15. All things have I seen in the days of my vanity. There is a just man that perisheth in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man that prolongeth his life in his wickedness. I just thought about the song is I've seen a good man steal and seen a tough man cry. What song was that? Oh, I've seen a rich man beg. I've seen a good man steal. I've seen a tough man cry. I've seen a loser win and a sad man grin, and heard an honest man lie. All right. That's exactly what that is, though. Is even a good man perisheth in his righteousness, and there is a wicked man that prolongeth his life in his wickedness. Which is exactly what I was talking about before, is evil people that are going out of their way, spending the money to exist and live in their evil. And there is a good man that dies too soon because he was righteous. Think about that. Be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? A perfect example of that, not many people talk about, is, well, some people talk about it, but other people not so much, is a lot of people say that Christ liked to stand up and speak out. And he was not afraid to speak out and stand up. Yet when it came time for him to leave, he left the argument. There were several times where it says that, and Christ was able to get away through the crowd. He knew when the time was to not be over righteous. He knew when the time was to shut up and just walk away. Of course, he also knew that it wasn't his time to be taken, but it's the same thing. There are times to preach, and there's a time to just shut up and walk away. Now, I'm not saying that, you should go half-assed on everything, but there's that moment where you're like, okay, now's the moment where I should stop. I've had those moments. I know exactly how that is. There's days I woke up and I said, I can't preach today, Father. It's not in me. Today I'm on the fence right now. Right now I'm on the fence whether I should be doing this or not. He's spurred me into doing this. So I'm going to keep going as good as I can. But there are times to lay back. There are times to not push so much. But be not righteous over much, neither make thyself over wise. Why shouldest thou destroy thyself? Be not over much wicked, neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? It goes both ways. Now it even says in a couple places down where there's not a just man upon the earth that doeth good and sinneth not. I mean, we all have sins. We are all not perfect. And there are sins that happen to us in this world, and I've tried to point this out, a couple times, that there are things that we do in this world that we don't even know we're doing. If witchcraft is evil, if witchcraft is a sin, how much of it do we know we're actually doing? Because there are so many things that just we don't know. Even as simple as burning or blowing out a candle on a birthday cake. You don't even know. The words we speak, again, cursing, spelling, everything we do with that regards the English language, we don't know. If it's considered a sin, then how do we not do it? So I still say be wary. Be wary of what we do, how we do it. But be not righteous over much, but not over much. Be not over much wicked. Neither be thou foolish. Why shouldest thou die before thy time? It is good that thou shouldest take hold of this. Yea, also from this withdraw not thine hand. For he that feareth God shall come forth of them all. So don't be overmuch wise. Don't be overmuch righteous. But don't be overmuch wicked. Try not to be wicked at all anyways, but don't be foolish either. But it is also good that you do not take your hand away from it. That you keep it there. But there's a time and a place to pull back, but do not remove your hand. It means do not step away from the actions of being good, of doing good. Wisdom strengtheneth the wise more than 10 mighty men which are in the city. For there is not a just man upon earth that doeth good and sinneth not. And that's the one I was talking about. Especially now. What do we know? You know, how much good are you doing, yet not knowing what you're doing? On that same token, their temptations are a bitch. I get it. Temptations are a nightmare. 21, also take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hath cursed others. Take no heed unto all words that are spoken, lest thou hear thy servant curse thee. For oftentimes also thine own heart knoweth that thou thyself likewise hast cursed others. That is contemplative enough within itself. Take no heed unto all words that are spoken, for eventually you will hear your servants curse you. For you know in your heart that somewhere along the line you have cursed somebody else. Okay. Verse 23. I know I'm gonna. You can roll that one over in your head. That one's gonna be the one that I roll over my head today. 23. All this have I proved by wisdom. I said, I will be wise, but it is far from me. That which is far off and exceedingly deep, who can find it out? I applied mine heart to know, and to search, and to seek out wisdom, and the reason of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. And I find more bitter than death the woman, whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, continuing one by one to find out the account, which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found, but a woman among all those have I not found. Lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright, that they have sought out many inventions. I don't think I have, well, I know I have a couple women that listen. I'm sure that they love hearing this kind of stuff. You have to remember that since this is Solomon, and he decided that he wanted to have like 200, 300 wives, however many it is, and every single one of them turned him away from God. You know, he married all of them, and then they turned him to their religion, which, as a guy, I can see that. I can see that happening, because men become fools around women. It's absolute fact. And whenever they say the snares and the traps, the nets of a woman who is deceitful, And I'm not saying all of them are. Oh, don't even wrap me up into that one. Oh, he just said that all women are evil. No, I didn't say that at all. A woman with good teaching and good understanding is fine. But a woman with loose morals and understandings, those who have been taught that they are superior simply because they are women, especially this whole feminist movement. Believe me, feminism has destroyed women more than it's ever helped women. They will do everything in their power to hurt and manipulate everyone, not just men, everyone. I've seen it too many times. Good men that are just trying to get along that get sucked down by some deceitful lying woman. Happened to me. And then they get ruined because of it. The man gets ruined because of it. And again, I'm not saying this happens all the time. I'm not saying that all women are bad. It's hard to find good ones. But it is the teachings. I've said it before that the entirety of the problems that we have is that we don't have that strong core teaching of morals and values anymore. That's become lost. The education system in the world has caused so many men and women to become such lovers of themselves and to deny any form of morality whatsoever. And that's the same thing that happened back then too, I'm sure. Is that Solomon being king would have been famous as, all get out. May not have understood that, there are evil, wicked people in the world that are coming to get you. Probably never heard, maybe he did hear the story of Samson. Samson was the same way. Samson got brought down by a woman who got tricked by other men. Because it's always been there from the beginning. I'm not saying that Eve tricked Adam with an apple, but I'm saying that Eve got Adam to eat the apple. Somebody said it once. Do you know why Satan went to Eve first? Because when God had made Adam, he told him a lot of rules that Eve didn't hear. And when Eve came around, she didn't know any better. She didn't know that, hey, the snakes are deceitful. Adam would have known these things. He was there. He named them. He named all the animals. He walked with God. Eve pops up, and then the next thing you know, there's snakes talking to her, telling her to, oh, did God really say you would die if you ate this? One of those things. It takes some water, and we're going to go back through this because I'm starting to run out of time again. I get on these tears, man. You guys know it. All right. Let's go through let's talk about my anti-feminist agenda. Verse 23. All this have I proved by wisdom. I said, I will be wise, but it was far from me. That which is far off and exceedingly deep, who can find it out? It is, and this is not in the next line. This is it is the glory of God to hide a thing. It is the honor of kings to search a thing out. And not everything can be known. There are still books that are hidden. He told very specific people throughout the years, hide the books until it's time. He has books that still have seals on them that we cannot know until it's time. 25. I applied mine heart to know and to search and to seek out wisdom and the reason of things, and to know the wickedness of folly, even of foolishness and madness. I applied my heart to know and to search and seek out wisdom, to find out all these things, even of foolishness and madness. And I find more bitter than death the woman. Who's not just all women, the woman whose heart is snares and nets, and her hands as bands. Whoso pleaseth God shall escape from her, but the sinner shall be taken by her. Just me saying this stuff is enough to get this video pulled nowadays, because women just don't want to hear it. Again, man, there are good, righteous women out there, and I appreciate the hell out of them. Women that just want to stay home and raise their kids and be happy and do whatever they got to do. What was the one video of the some 20-something-year-old girl who was yelling, just like, why, you want to talk about feminism and how good my rights are now and all this stuff, and all I really want to do is get married and stay home and have kids and raise good children and all this, but I can't because I have to go to work right now because feminism. The first time I heard this, I just laughed. I said, oh, that's so funny. But it's true. It's what it is. What has feminism got you? It got you 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. It got you a double income family where you have to work 2 incomes now. It made it to where you don't get to go out and raise kids. It turned you all into whores and single mothers. That's what feminism got women. That's exactly what it got. It got poverty. It got poverty and poor and government issued welfare and Lord knows what else. But hey, you're equal to the men now. Welcome to the party, pal. I'm just saying that, it's amazing how everybody likes to say, oh, well, Christianity puts down women and keeps women down and forces us to be this and this and this and that and stuff. And you know what? Women been doing that for years. If you believe your own history, women have been doing that stuff for hundreds of thousands of years. That's your own history tells you that. My history says that you've only been doing it for a couple thousand years. But you've still been doing it. Because that's the way it is. Because women are loving and nurturing and caring. And they want to take care of the babies. They want to take care of the houses. It's natural. It's ingrained into them. The men, they're the ones that go out and they provide. The one thing that all these people that want to say that Christianity is so anti-woman, trying to force women down and tell women that they're nothing, the one passage that they always seem to go to is, women, be subservient to your husbands. They never want to read the next line where it says, and husbands, be subservient to your wives. Protect them as Christ protected his church. To go out of your way to take care of your wife as much as your wife takes care of you. And that you both take care of your children. No one ever wants to talk about that. But this is Solomon talking about the woman whose heart is snares and nets. The hands are bands. Who is taken... who takes the sinners, whose morals and values are so bad that she manipulates men, because that's what it is. That's what it's always been. Good men can be manipulated by women. That's exactly what it is. 27, behold, this have I found, saith the preacher, counting one by one to find out the account. Which yet my soul seeketh, but I find not. One man among 1,000 have I found that are good, but a woman among all those have I not found. Which again, if they're not brought up right, okay. Solomon lost his temple. Because it was probably the same things that were happening. Same things that were happening around Jerusalem that are happening now. Is that it was falling. Remember, evil snowballs consistently. The snowball may restart because it has been stopped, but it always consistently starts going up again. So even back then, they could have had, because there's nothing new under the sun. There could very well have been feminism going on back then too. Women that refused to be taught, just like men are refused to be taught. I'm not trying to point out one specific gender of people, because there's only two, but it could have been the same thing as it is now, where women just don't want to be taught. They don't want to hear it. They want to be independent. It could be the same thing. I can't find any anymore. I can't find any good women that are trying to. Maybe it's why he had so many wives, as he kept trying to find the one. And unfortunately, the law says that you couldn't just automatically divorce one as soon as you get married. So he had to go find another one. And he found another one. He found another one. And he just couldn't find it. He found one man in 1,000 that had wisdom, but he could not find one woman among all of them. He could not find it. Lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. Mostly inventions that they probably made for women. And I am not a sexist. Don't even start that nonsense with me. I'm not going to say that anybody is better than anybody else, but hey, when it comes to manipulation, women have it down. When it comes to deception, men have it down. That's an absolute. Men have an absolute ability to deceive. They have as much manipulation too, but women, they have the manipulation factor down. Why? Because they have sex. They have sex on their side. They absolutely do. I say all this. Again, I say all this, and somebody can take any part of that and turn it against me and go out of their way and say, oh, you're this and you're that and you're saying this and all this. And you need to be canceled because you're saying this. And if that's the way you think, that's the way you think. Whatever. I don't care. Solomon was a very wise man. During his time, since he was trying to find wisdom, trying to find understanding, he says, and I tend to agree, because I have been screwed over enough myself by many women, that he could not find a good woman who could help him have understanding. And it could very well have been that it was the same exact thing going on in that time that it is now. You want an example, the perfect example? With the two women and the baby that came up to him, and both of them said, "This is my child." And the other one was saying, "No, this is my child. She stole it from me." While her own baby died. Her baby died so that they want to steal my baby. And Solomon said, "You know what?" Or was it Solomon, or was it, oh God. Who was it? Let's look it up. Solomon. Yes. Were they prostitutes? Were they really prostitutes? First Kings 3. Let's go ahead and look this up. I'm looking, I'm flipping. King Pharaoh. Give me the secrets. Then there came two women that were harlots. Oh, they were. Unto the king and stood before him. And one woman said, "O my lord, I and this woman dwell in one house. And I was delivered of a child with her in the house. And it came to pass the third day that after I delivered, that this woman delivered also. And we were together. There was no stranger with us in the house, save we two in the house. And this woman's child died in the night because she overlaid it. And she arose at midnight and took my son from me, while thine handmaid slept, and laid it in her bosom, and laid her dead child in my bosom. And when I rose in the morning to give my child suck, behold, it was dead. And when I considered it in the morning, behold, it was not my son, which I did bear. And the other woman said, Nay, but the living is my son, and the dead is thy son. And this said, No, but the dead is thy son, and the living is my son. Thus they spake before the king. And then he said, The one saith, This is my son that liveth, and thy son is dead. And the other one saith, Nay, but thy son is dead, and my son is living. So, straight off top of it, deceitful, deceptive, again, same old nonsense. The way he solves that, though, is the best in the world, though. He says, "Give me a sword. We're going to cut the kid in half, and we're going to give you both half." And it was the one woman who gave birth to the baby. She was the one that said, "No, please don't do that." The other one was like, "Hey, go ahead. Sure, why not?" She already lost a kid. The perfect example. Evil and wickedness. Because you have to remember that what's the oldest profession in the world? Prostitution. Women have been able to use it for years. Now, I'm not saying, again, I'm not doing the whole thing where, it's all women are evil and they can use whatever. No, I'm saying they can use it better than men. If a man needs some money to, be able to pay some bills or to be able to go buy fancy things or whatever, a man can't just go out and whore himself. It doesn't work that way. I can't go out right now and, do a little strip tease for somebody and earn a couple bucks. It doesn't work. Somebody somewhere in this world will probably give me $1 or something. I can see it because people in this world are sick now. But it just doesn't work that way. But a woman, any woman, and some people say, no way. Not any woman. Yeah, pretty much any woman can go out, just straight up ask for sex. Somebody will give it to her. Somebody, anybody. Because the woman was made to be soft and beautiful and, whatever. She was the one that was made to be subservient, yet she can use that softness, that you know what it is, to be able to manipulate men. It's the way it's been for years. It's amazing. People get pissed off when you say stuff like that, yet it's still there. And all the feminists want to say, "Oh, you're just a sexist. You're just this. You're just that." And it's like, but you've probably done it your entire life. Don't even give me that hypocrisy. It's always been there, and you do it to yourselves too. You don't just do it to men. You'll do it to other women. Men are deceitful. Women are manipulative. Keep that in mind. That's my basis for it. That's my absolute basis for it. And it's not all women. Again, it's those that have not been brought up with good morals and standards. Same thing with men. If they haven't been brought up with good morals and standards, they will fall to wickedness and darkness. And there you go. You want to call me whatever you want to call me, hey, that's fine with me. Just know that that's truth. That's the truth. That's the way it is, and that's the way it's going to be. You can call me whatever you want. You know why? Because words don't hurt. Because words don't matter. Because I'm rubber and you're glue, and whatever you say bounces off of me and sticks to you. Childish. Just simply. I can't exist because words hurt. Words have meaning. Whatever, snowflake. Whatever. You know, it's good for us to be better and to talk better to people. You know, I get that. That's fine. But there are going to be people in the world that are going to say something that you don't like. And you know what? If you don't like it, you don't have to listen. But for you to turn around and go off on somebody and say, "Oh, you can't say that, you can't do that, you blah, blah, blah," because words hurt, because words have meanings. No, they don't. They don't mean anything. The English language might mean something. We might have to look into that, but anybody tries to talk to you, to tell you that you're something, that you're this, you're that, that you're all that, it doesn't matter. It's manipulation. Get over it. You're the one that decides what happens. If you're the one that's going to decide that because somebody thinks that you're too fat, too ugly, too much of a bigot, too much of a coward, too much of a, I don't know, racist, too much of a whatever. If somebody else tells you that, and if you believe them, that's on you. That's on you. You don't have to listen to them. I don't understand why people think that they can police other people's words simply because they got hurt by those words. Now again, you know, we need to be better. We need to talk to each other better. We need to address each other better. We need to have better morals and values and understandings. But for all those people that don't, so what? I'm rubber and you're glue. It don't matter what you say to me. Piss off, ghost. I'm gonna leave. Thank you guys for listening, man. I will talk to y'all later. Poor Solomon, and he had it too. 200, 300 wives. I don't know how many it was. I think one place I said it had like 600 wives or so. I don't know. It's crazy. That's crazy insane. No wonder the man was troubled. I mean, really. But he fell for it. You know, he fell into it. He went looking for wisdom in all the wrong places. Let's put it that way. But keep all that in mind. I shall talk to y'all later. God bless every one of you. Yeah, see you.